The Celtics absolutely mollywhopped the Warriors on Monday. Me and Billy are going to break down the adjustments that led to that beatdown right here, right now on this episode of the Celtics Chronicle. Yo, what's good, everybody? If you're new here, my name's Adam Taylor. You can find me over at USA Today, SB Nation, and the Celtics Chronicle newsletter. Links in the description. Sign up to get takes and analysis sent straight to your inbox every day. And I'm joined today by my co-host, compadre, Mr. Billy Calabrese, our cap expert, resident cap expert. What's popping, Billy?
Hey, the good times are back, man. Everything's sunny.
Yeah, sunny after a win. There's 2 more big games coming up on the horizon. We've got some previews to do for that, but that'll be, again, a different day. Today, it's a focus on the Warriors. Now, if anyone is subscribed to the Celtics Chronicle newsletter, you'll know that a lot of the last 6 weeks, I've been pinpointing the last time the Celtics played Golden State as when the blueprint was laid out on how to just fluster that offense, kind of rattle them, take away that 3-point line. And it feels like a lot of teams have adapted that blueprint, and that's led to some of the poor shooting we've seen over the last 6 weeks. Golden State looked to try and set the tone that way in this game early. They were getting a lot of points off junk. I think that's the best way to put it, right? Like just broken plays, transition opportunities. They were playing passing lanes early. They were a little bit aggressive, high pickup points. And then the Celtics were like, not today. We're not doing that again today. And they never really looked back. Billy, I know you've got some points you want to touch on the adjustments, and then I'll share my thoughts based off whatever it is you kind of lead us down that way. So take it away, bro.
Dude, the first thing is I just want to welcome back the killer whale offense. We have not seen it. They attacked mismatches. Specifically, they attacked Curry, and they got him in post-ups, and everybody was eating off those. Even KP, obviously, with his size mismatch, every time he got Curry switched on him, it was an easy bucket, and KP continues his just awesome stretch of basketball. I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but it seems like this latest stretch, these last few weeks, even though our winning and our, how we've been playing overall as a team hasn't been great, I think it's the best KP we've seen since he's been in Boston, at least since beginning of last season after training camp. Because he's been phenomenal.
He's been healthy. That's the thing. It took a bit of time after he came back from that injury absence just for him to get back up to full pace, full swing. But he's knocking down threes at a high clip. He's really giving you a different dimension in terms of post play. I want to give Curry a shout out. I thought early in the game, he did a really good job of dealing with those mismatches and those post ups. There was a few plays where I think early, Tatum had him posted up, and he waited for Tatum to drop his shoulder to spin and then shot the weak hand to get the steal there. He jumped a couple of passing lanes early. I thought he did a good job getting underneath Porziņģis' hips early in the game. But asking him to do that at 36 years old for an entire 48 minutes, you could see that it wore on him quite quickly. And before you know it, the Celtics are taking advantage, like possession after possession. As you said, multiple players were taking opportunities in that post. And the more you wear him down defensively, the heavier his legs get, so then his off-ball movement starts to become a little bit less of a concern.
Yeah, I just thought it was a relentless attack. We just did not let up. We never took the foot off the gas. Once we got the lead, we just kept adding to it. And what I really liked is with essentially the starters not playing the fourth quarter, they didn't give up the lead. They actually added to it. So everybody really chipped in. It's a 40-point win. That was our first 40-point win of the season. We lead the NBA in 50-point wins, 40-point wins, 30-point wins, and 20-point wins. So that's why our net rating is so high, even if our record is a little bit behind. We have a net rating of a 63-win pace team, even though we're on pace for only 57 wins. Our net rating is pretty extravagant because of these big wins like this.
Yeah, they can be full starts in some cases, because then you do go into a game where they lose, and it is what it is. But I think that when you come up against a team that pretty much set a blueprint on how to rattle you, and then you adjust, they played the same way they played. It was November, I think they last played each other. They played the same way in terms of the Warriors, how they set up their defensive structure. It's just the way the Celtics countered that. They went to a lot more empty side action. So they took a guy out of the corner, and then they were running side pick and roll instead of running it straight up at the top of the perimeter. That took away a low help man. So when there was a roll man, there wasn't anybody to rotate over from the corner quickly and tag the big. it gave you an additional bit of space to kind of drive and drag out your dribble off those pick and rolls to be able to create passing angles. And it meant that now Golden State are loading up on the weak side, so you can, when you do ISO, you're not really getting the same pressure, because if you send two, now you're definitely leaving somebody open that's one or two passes away. That to me was a huge change. And if you look at the way the Celtics played last season, they were very big in terms of running these empty side actions to alleviate defensive pressure, because once you take a corner defender away, now you have to send somebody across court. So now somebody's splitting the difference on the weak side. Seeing them go back to that when we haven't seen that be a consistent part of what they've done in the last 6 weeks, super encouraging, man, especially when you're blowing up the pressure that the Warriors were trying to put on you. I do think that, the lack of Draymond Green definitely hurt them, but they were having some success on the glass with Trace Jackson-Davis being a beast and everything. But Boston was just like, no, we're going to stick to this game plan. We're going to hunt mismatches. When we screen, we're screening with purpose now. We're not screening to spring you free. We're screening to create switches. And that's when the Celtics are at their best, when they actually have a purpose for what they're doing. We're going to screen, get you onto Curry. We're going to screen and get you onto, if you want Jason Tatum to pick up a big, if you want Rui Santos to be switched onto Tatum, we're going to do that. They were being methodical in how they were generating their switches, and they were doing it without a strong side and a strong side load, man.
Yeah, I loved every time the entry pass went into the post, there was just it was very quick. It was that 0.5 offense you like to talk about, where it's like either the guy's going up to score or the double's coming and he's throwing it out to somebody for an open three. I mean, it was quick decisions, very fast. We didn't give the defense any time to kind of mess with us and get under our skin like they have been. It was absolutely phenomenal. We had more assists than the Warriors had field goals.
That's bizarre, dude. Like, you're talking about, when you think of Golden State, you don't expect to blow them out by 40. You definitely don't expect to pass the ball better than they do, just because of the way they play. Wild stat, wild. As you can see, like, I watched this game live. I usually watch it the next day, so I'm coming off memory. I haven't got my second watching yet, but it definitely felt like this was getting over a hump that's been there since 2022. Now, the Celtics have beat Golden State since then. They've lost to Golden State since then, but this was we're the big dogs now. Your time's over. We're up. We're the champions. And I just felt like they came in with a point to prove, and they took the lead and just never looked back, man.
Yeah, Kerr had some nice comments after the game where he said essentially this was a burn the tape game for them. Like, he doesn't want his team to ever see this again. And I take a lot of pride in that, because they've certainly done that to us, especially in the finals, where there's games that I'll never rewatch because of how they handled us.
It's what they do. And that's the wild part about it. The Celtics went in and beat Golden State in a similar way to the way Golden State beat teams. Now, I will say, one thing I was really grateful for was there was more balance to the offense in this game. I don't think they over-relied on the three-point line. They were pressuring the rim. They were getting what they wanted there. We saw some mid-range. There was actually quite a decent dose of mid-range earlier in the game, Tatum being a particular threat there, Brown hitting a couple too. So when you are actually damaging a team across all three levels, and you're blowing open their defensive pressure through your empty side, through your side pick and roll, through all of these different adjustments that you made through the game, it becomes you have to pick your poison at that point. What are you willing to lose with? Because you're not going to win. It's clear that by the midway through the second that this game was only trending in one way. So then Golden State just had to choose how they wanted to lose. And I think when you put a team in that position where it's like, you remember the Snoop Dogg song, and I can't remember what one it was, but it opened up like 6 million ways to die. Choose one.
Choose one, yep, of course.
And I felt like this was kind of that for Golden State, right? It was like, yo, you got 3 ways to lose. Which way do you want it to be? And they had to pick a poison and live with it. And when the Celtics are at that, and they're making you make that decision, it's a very difficult place to be. That's why they pulled everybody at the end of the third, right? Like, Golden State started the fourth. They'd already yanked it. They were like, we're done.
Yeah, it really frustrated me because I wanted to keep running it up on them, but I totally get why Golden State would do that. But it sucks because Tatum was having such a great game. I thought we were going to get a 30-point triple-double, but then he doesn't get to play the whole fourth. I really thought that a lot of that game was an FU from Tatum to Kerr. I think taking the first shot of the game being that mid-range that he would have got every time in the Olympics if, Kerr played him. I really do think that there was a lot of bad blood there. They had a lot to prove. And you saw it. Kerr was waiting in essentially the handshake line for Tatum and Brown, and Tatum and Brown just kind of stiffed him and ignored him. It was great.
Yeah, they just carried on talking to Curry, and that went quite, I won't say viral, but it made an impact on it over on Instagram, actually. I think the Celtics country page is the one that posted that, and it done good because there's so much, not just from just Tatum. I don't think Tatum actually has any ill will there. He's too chill from what we see in the media, obviously. But from Celtics fans, there's a lot of like ill will there right now. I won't say like people hate him, but there's some frustrations there for how he treated Tatum during the Olympics. So to see that, and then to see Tatum perform this way and dominate against this team, that was just the icing on the cake. Because for Celtics fans right now, we've been through the ringer the last 6 weeks. I get they're still playing well, but there's been some tough losses. So to have this win at this moment on the Warriors home court and shut up that crowd, that was just, dude, man, it was just so much fun to watch on a national game like that as well on MLK Day. This was the statement that you needed to make.
Yeah, the Celtics really needed it because the narrative was starting to slip from them. And it's also just a great confidence builder for this road trip, because I really do think this road trip is going to define this season. They're basically all national TV games. Everybody's talking about them right now. Oh, they don't look the same. They're not this. They're not that. I mean, a 3-1 or a 4-0 trip is really going to start changing the narrative of this team back to where it should be.
Yeah, and I think that playing this way, where there is a lot more, I've said the word methodical a few times in this episode, but where there is a lot more thought process going into what you're trying to do and how you're trying to achieve it. That's what we saw last year. It's an intelligent attack. We want to screen you because we want to create the switch. Now, credit to the Golden State, man. They top lock like motherfuckers. They take away those pin downs and those curls like nobody else. When they're guarding the screen and they're jumping up on you and you can't come off a screen, or you're really having to fight for separation, that's tough. And they do that really, really well. And you could see that all through the game. Guys were really battling to create space coming off picks. Credit to the Celtics for fighting through that, because there's not really an adjustment you can make there. That's just grit. So again, when you look at the way that Tatum had that one play, I think it was in the third, where they sent two at him, doubled him coming off the screen. He had nowhere to go, and he kind of just pushed his way through both dudes with the ball in his hand and then got the finish. I want to hear no more soft talk, no more about any of these dudes, man, because they went into a hostile environment against a really physically like gritty team, and they just mollywopped the shit out of them, dude.
I would love to show that play to Tatum in 2022 during the finals when they were kind of guarding him like that. It's like, dude, you're going to be all right. Just keep bulking up, keep getting stronger, keep your confidence. Look what you're eventually going to be able to do. It's like a different player. It doesn't even look like the same guy being able to make that play. I thought that was the highlight of the game for him as well, too.
Yeah, I thought that was, for me, that was one of the plays that really stood out to me. And what I will say is as well, when you're looking at that and you see how physical and how like much bigger he looked, show that to Brandon Jennings and be like, yo, this dude's still soft. You still want to throw hands? Because I think you're making a mistake here, kid. Now, on the flip side, I just want to point out, like, Golden State did some stuff well. Like, I thought their ATOs were really well thought out. They were good. Their movement was good. I do think that they gave the Celtics a few problems early, but that's good because it forces you to adjust. But it's also a learning process, because there was some times where I was like, man, I wish we could see the Celtics run some of this stuff. So I do want to give them their credit. They might have got their asses handed to them, but one, some of the fans stuck around right until the death. They didn't back. They stayed and supported their team. Two, the Warriors kept running shit. They were trying to win. It's not like they gave up even when they yanked dudes. So I want to give them credit. But Mazzulla deserves credit as well, because he's been coming under a lot of scrutiny. I've been quite vocal about just a rudimentary approach over the last 6 weeks that I wasn't really a fan of. He adjusted quickly. He 0.5. We were talking about 0.5 offense. Like, he was 0.5 coaching. He was making short, sharp decisions left, right, and center. And they were all coming up big, and they were all like big time game changing adjustments. So if we're going to give credit to the team, I think we also need to look over at Joe and be like, you know what, you did good this one.
Yeah, I thought, especially in the beginning with the entry passes, our entry passes to the post were so lazy. They were so slow. They were so behind. And it's like we figured it out. It's like, no, we actually have to like do this correctly. We have to do this fundamentally, or the Warriors are playing like they're playing it. And I really credit Golden State's defense. I thought it made us a lot better, and it made us work on something that usually we take half-heartedly. I think our entry passes are like one of the worst things we do as a team. We're always making the lazy pass. So it's like we figured it out quick. Like, hey, you can't do that against these guys.
And they're moving into a bit more like they're playing angles more. So they are kind of positioning like you'll have a guy in the post, you'll have a guy on the ball, usually around the slot, and then you'll have a guy at top of the perimeter around the delay area. So there's always two next passes away type of thing. You've got your post entry, that's one pass away. You've got the top of the perimeter, that's also one pass away. So now if you need to get it into the post, but they're kind of denying that initial pass, you can go route A, B. So you can go to the top of the perimeter and then feed it in that way. They're giving themselves more options to generate better quality post entries and inside passes. The only criticism, and it's the only one I've got, is they had a lot of sideline out of bounds in this game. There was a lot of deflections, a lot of mistakes, but both sides. And the Celtics stuck with their kind of stagger away, get a guy from the weak side curling over a stagger screen to catch the ball and then either shoot or go ISO. And that's fine. Like, it's cool, whatever. But I think last year they ran an action called Slice, which was a back screen on the wing. And it was usually like Pritchard or Drew or Derek back screening for Tatum. Tatum getting into the post. Then it'll be inbounded to the screener who would then feed Tatum. You had a size advantage in this game and you were getting a lot of good offense out of that post up, whether that be post creation, whether that be secondary offense. And you didn't go to an action that would have gave you even more of what was working for you. So if I was going to have a criticism, it was just like, Slice was your number one sideline out of bounds entry, like play last season. We haven't seen it this year. You've gone to this stagger. I just thought that with the size advantage, you would have gone back to what worked last year.
Which is surprising because our points per possession on out of bounds plays are like third or fourth in the league. Like we're very good, especially out of timeouts, out of bounds, sideline, all those. They're right up there with our regular points per possession, which is obviously pretty good because we're a very good offensive team. But we were right up there. I think Miami was probably number one, and we weren't far behind.
Yeah, because they're running that stagger action works because you're bringing Jaylen Brown or you're bringing Peyton Pritchard, or guys that are good at scoring off the catch. So, and the good thing about this Celtics team is everyone that can score off the catch can put the ball on the floor. Even Sam Hauser's evolved in that respect. Like if you close out on him hard, he's going to beat you off the dribble and then hit a pull-up or redirect the rack. So it's not that it's a bad play. I just thought if you're trying to generate more post offense, then you have something in your playbook that can allow you to do so. Now, to move back to praise, if anyone follows me on social media, Twitter, Blue Sky, one of those two, you would have saw that I put up a play where the Celtics had a blown offensive possession, swung the rock a couple of times, got it to the second side, back over to the other side of the floor, and then there was a second offensive action where they actually scored. And my big thing here was, a lot of the time when the Celtics have had a blown possession in the last 6 weeks, it's been a one and done. Like they've fucked up, they swung the rock and just jacked up whatever they could because it's like, well, this was like, we're just going to keep plugging away. This didn't work. We're going to swing it. We're going to look for a good shot. And the next time we're going to put it in Tatum's hands, let him do what he needs to do. That was more in line with how they were at the start of the season too. Excuse me. So it just felt like something clicked on both sides of the floor in this game. And it just allowed them to absolutely dominate.
Yeah, it feels like it's been building up for a little while now. Like we saw it in the Magic game. We saw it in the Hawks game until the last 5 minutes. For whatever reason, the clutch aspect, just everything went to crap. But I do think for the most part, we played pretty well in that Hawks game until the end. And then this was just the full package. Like the shots started falling again. We dominated the boards. Obviously, the assist number was up. Everything just kind of fell into place where it was supposed to. And we just been waiting for that. We just keep seeing signs of it. Now it finally clicked.
Defense was good too. Like there was a couple of miscommunications on peel switches where Drew would rotate over and then whoever's in the rear view is meant to peel off and pick up Drew's man, and they didn't do that. I think that's been an area of concern for a few weeks, just communication on peels, because they rely on peel switches to keep their pressure defense up. But other than that, they switched well. They switched intelligently. It was pretty much a 1-through-4 switch when they was at single big with the 5-man in drop. Used the 4 guys to funnel guys towards that rim protector. I thought they closed down well. They top lots when they needed to. They denied. A couple of back cuts got them, but you're playing Steph Curry. He's going to get you on a couple of those, so whatever. Rim protection was good. You had secondary guys roaming over. I thought the defense was just as impressive, if not more impressive, than what the offense was.
I couldn't agree more. Did you like the new Tatum rotation? Yeah, this one was a unique one. We haven't seen this before. He came in, obviously he started. He came out at 6:30. He came back in at 3 minutes left in the first. Stayed in, and then went out a few minutes into the second, and then came back with like 5 minutes left in the second. We haven't seen that stagger.
So I'm going to put this up on the screen. The website to use for these rotations is popcornmachine.net. Love this shit. So looking at it now, you are right. Yeah, he stayed in for just under 6 minutes, 5 minutes and say 35 seconds, whatever. Then he went out. Then he came back in with 3 minutes left until the end. Stayed in for the first, say just under 3 minutes of the second. Went off, came back in with 5 minutes left till the end, you're right, and then pretty much played all of the third, played until there was just under a minute left in the third, then we didn't see the dude again. Yeah, I like that rotation. I think I think in a way, that gives Brown that opportunity in the first to be a bit of a play finisher in those minutes without Tatum, without having to go to the bench, and that's where you like Brown being that guy. It also meant that Brown wasn't solely leading that second unit during the second for the whole stretch. He came in, we shared the floor with Tatum for about 2-3 minutes. Then Tatum went off and then he shared it. Then he ran it for a bit. No, sorry. Tatum ran it. Then Brown came in and ran it for 2-3 minutes. Then they shared it to end the third. And then they shared it all the way to end the second. And they shared it all the way through the third. The more you can maximize them two together and the more you can maximize Brown's scoring and take off that playmaking, like, burden, because clearly that's still a work in process. He's been quite open about, I'm trying to be the best version of that. The more you can do that, the better. I actually think I'd like to see that rotation stick for at least this West Coast trip. Now, there's some questions whether how Boston are going to deal with the bigs over in the Clippers. You know, Zubac is just Zubac. I'm a big fan. I think he's one of the more underrated bigs in the league. You got AD. They've got Jackson Hayes, Christian Wood. There's a couple of bigs now. And you might not have Kristaps and Horford for both of those games, like one of one. Do you know what I mean? Like you might have Kristaps in the first and not in the second, Horford in the second, not in the first. There's a lot of bigs you need to deal with. I think that this staggered rotation would help. I think Luke Cornett's been great too, so I want him in there. But no, I like this play. I think I'd like to see at least for the next 3 games to see how that works.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. Just to give context, usually we see like either Tatum play the whole first or he comes out at 6 and then comes back to start the second. So it's like usually like a 12-6 or a 6-12 rotation. This is a little more broken up. It's still the same amount of minutes, just in a different way. But I really liked how it gave Tatum basically got to wait, get some time with the bench unit. It seemed like he got more time with the starters as well. It was just more balanced.
Yeah. I'm big fan of the way that played out. Just overall, I thought this was one of their better games of the season. Definitely their best game in the last 6-7 weeks. Now they got to do it again against LAC. And then they got to do it again against LAL. And then they got to do it again against Dallas. For now, I'm happy. I think this was a really good win. It was a tone setter for the rest of this West Coast swing. Got it off to a strong start. Shut some people up. I haven't really got much more to say, man.
I couldn't agree more. I'm ready, man. I'm so stoked for this trip. And it started, I couldn't have scripted a better way for it to start for us.
So with that being said, everybody, if you're listening here and you're new, hit that subscribe button. You can go down a little bit into the description, subscribe to the Celtics Chronicle newsletter. I'll have an analysis coming out later today or some takeaways, or there'll be something, right? Make sure you go and show me love over on social media at Adam Taylor NBA, and make sure you go show Billy some love. Where can they find you, Billy?
Find me at The Real Sibo on X. You'll see me in the Sebastian Telfair jersey. And let's keep hitting that letterbox, guys. CBO041. I see at least 2-3 movies a week. The reviews are up. You'll enjoy them. They're funny sometimes.
There we go, y'all. Everybody have a good one. We'll catch you tomorrow with an LAC preview. We've got some guests coming in for that one. Then we should have a guest coming in for the Lakers preview. And then I'm trying to get someone in for the Mavericks preview as well. We'll be here after those games to give you a breakdown of what we saw and what we thought. Have a good one, y'all. Catch you soon. Peace.